Patricia Asasira from Financial Diets Limited, and I'm happy to be part of this interesting topic, thriving through financial uncertainty. Before we begin, I would like us to paint a picture. Imagine you wake up to an email from your client, one of your biggest clients, or one of your biggest suppliers, and they are telling you that they are out of business or they are stopping or terminating the business with you. Not to go far, just remember from the time of the COVID-19 pandemic, that was in 2020, 2021, where we all woke up with a shock. This was a global shock where we were told businesses are closing, are put on hold till further communication, where schools were closing, and we didn't know what to do. For most of the people in business, even in employment sector, this was the first of the sort that had ever happened. Not even to go further, not to go far. This has just happened in a few, I think from a few weeks, days back, when we woke up to just a tweet where USAID was withdrawing the grants and the donations from the grants that they were giving different countries, different NGOs, meaning very many people lost jobs, those who are directly employed, and also those that in business, they received the shock of their life, where maybe you are a supplier in that business and you're told that you will listen, you will confirm from us, or at the moment we are putting everything on hold. So I would like us to paint a picture if you're in that situation. Either you've been in it, or if at all it happens to you, what would you do? Imagine you wake up to that, the worst news ever. Just picture that, and with that in mind, we can continue and see how we shall navigate through this. Today's topic is how to navigate the financial and business shocks. Before we go further, I'll just be like, I know most of you could be here just to learn and just to know if this happens, what can I do about it? But I want us to first discuss the drivers of the financial shocks. What brings about those shocks? About what brings about that? So let's navigate the Uganda's economic landscape. In Uganda, just like any other economy, we face different tragedies that happen, or we face different shocks, and we would like to understand what brings about that. We face mainly the uncertainties are economic downturns, unstable exchange rates, sudden tax policies, and even donor funding cuts. So these are some of the major drivers that bring about the financial shocks. On the economic downturn, this is mainly triggered by the political instabilities. Whenever there is a political instability, it brings about the economic downturns. Also the natural calamities, just like the way I mentioned about the pandemic. So when you look at the statistics that happened before, that was in 2019, the GDP of Uganda was around 6.8, but immediately after the natural calamity that happened of the pandemic, it slowed down up to 2.9%. That shows that there was a big decline in the economy. So the economic downturns that normally triggered by the political instabilities and natural calamities, among others, can lead or is a driver for the financial shock. That whenever that happens, it brings an instability in the economy. So that is one of the things that we should be looking at. Then we talk about the unstable exchange rates. Uganda being a third world country or a developing country, we entirely depend on a dollar. This can be direct in depending on it, or indirectly. Directly, that is if you're importing goods, you have to use a dollar. Or even if you're not importing, but you're in trade, you will be affected whenever there is a change in the dollar exchange. So that whenever there is a rise, that's why you use That's why you normally hear the business people wanting to strike, complaining about the dollar has gone up. This is because it brings about unstable economy. Then when we talk about the sudden policy changes, we can't talk about the financial shocks without addressing taxation. And when we talk about taxation, it's a very big elephant in the room for the business people. Taxation, it is complex to understand. It is not every time and then they introduce different tax policies, and this directly affects the business people. And when it affects the business people, it affects the cash flow, it affects the profitability of the business. So all this that I'm discussing are the drivers, some of the drivers that bring about the financial shock, some of them that bring about the changes on how the businesses have been run. Then we talk about the donor funding fluctuations. Just like the one I mentioned in my introduction, this happened just a few weeks back when we woke up just to a tweet and they are telling us the aid is being cut. What does that have to do? Very many businesses have been affected, not only people who are working in these organizations or the NGOs, all as an economy. The country has been receiving a grant from the part of the aid that was given. It was for hospitals, among other things, among other contributions. So I would like you to paint the medical field, how it is being affected. Those who have been relying on it, how are they being affected? So those, and among others, are the drivers that bring about the financial shocks, and they destabilize the economy. Talk about the inflation and changes in the interest rates. In most cases, you can't run a business. Most businesses are run on credit, like you borrow from either commercial banks or East Africa or the East African development banks, among others, where you borrow from microfinances and circles. So when you wake up in the morning and the central bank has declared a different lending rate, trust me, directly it's going to affect your business. Because meaning if the interest rate has risen, you're going to be paying more to the interest to the bank, which is going to affect your profit in the businesses. So whenever there is a change in the policy, whenever there is a change in the interest rates by the central bank, once the central bank has declared a different rate, it affects your business directly. And among the policies also, for example, still on taxation, when they introduced the IFRIs, we saw very many business people on striking. Some of the businesses closed and they've never risen again. This was because it affected the businesses so much. So it's not just few things. I'm trying to show you that there are very many things that can happen to the economy, and they're going to affect you. Even when you're in farming, it affects you directly, because if you're into commercial farming, you're selling your goods outside Uganda, you're trading them, and you will not say that I'm in farming. Taxation is not going to affect me. It's going to affect you when you're buying the fertilizers or the other products to use on the farm. So whenever there is a change in a policy, it affects everyone as long as you're in business, regardless of the sector that you're in. Then we talk about the economic relations. Look at Uganda we are a landlocked country. We do a lot of trading and we rely so much on our neighbors. So whenever there is a misunderstanding, or whenever there is like change in the agreements that we've done, it affects us so much. Whenever they say that maybe we are not in the right we are not in good terms. Take an example when there was a agreement with Rwanda and they closed the border. The trucks would spend more than 72 hours at the border waiting to be cleared. Can you imagine when a truck is carrying perishable goods that are supposed to be consumed as when they are delivered in the country or on the market? People made losses. There was the people, especially those who are selling less directly, like exporting to Rwanda, they made a lot of losses. There was a lot of goods being spoiled. Some of them pulled out of business and never to return again because of the losses that they made. Look at the political instability in Congo that is happening at the moment. We sell very many, we export very many goods to Congo. We take cooking oil, take rice, take other products, even in fabrics, those in the fashion industry. There are very many things that we trade with Congo, the minerals and all that. But because of the instabilities that are there, I believe that you fear to go into it for your life. You fear to drive to Congo. You fear to take your goods because they may be confiscated. They may be lost. In Sudan, for example, South Sudan, it's always unstable. People have lost lives. Ugandans have lost lives for doing business there. Trucks have been burnt down on the way taking the goods to Sudan. This is all because, as in when you're trying to do business, whenever one country is affected, even us as Uganda, the economy, we get affected, especially those that we trade with directly. So those are some of the drivers that may lead to a financial shock or that may lead to an economy being unstable. Now that we've looked at the drivers that exactly lead to the financial shock or that destabilize the economy, I want us to discuss how the strategies that we can put in place to protect our to protect our economy. And to prevent these financial crises, businesses, they need strong financial planning. As you're doing your business, you need to plan. You need to look at different tragedies that may happen in the business. You need to look at, it may not necessarily be only finances. It can also be the change in the political climate. If there is instability in the country, how can it affect your business? Whenever the infrastructure, whenever there are, say, construction, whenever there's construction or maybe working on the roads, how does that affect your businesses? For those who move goods from one part to another, let's say they close a certain road and then now we need to take a longer route. All those costs, they eat onto your profits. So there are very many factors that can affect your businesses, not only just saying that, not only finance, but also other factors, just like the way I've discussed. So we need to plan better and to have a strong financial planning and risk management, and be able to adapt to the new market conditions whenever that has happened. So I would like to discuss with you the different strategies that we can put in place to make sure that whenever there is that shock, we can still do what? We can still thrive. Some businesses not only survive, but also thrive in these situations. And I would like to tell you that when some businesses look at, whenever there is a financial shock or crisis, for them, it is when they thrive in these situations. They look at a problem and with them they find a solution. So we've seen some businesses expanding some businesses actually expanded during COVID when everyone else was closing, but other businesses were doing what? Were expanding and growing further. Today we explore the practical strategies, just like that I've discussed. And the first strategy is diversifying your revenue streams. I'd like to say is depending on one client is risky. Say whatever business that you're in, I would like to encourage you that you look at a way how you can diversify. For example, during the COVID-19 pandemic, the border businesses, we all knew borders were mainly carrying what? Were mainly carrying passengers for movement of people one place to another. But during the pandemic, they they stopped movement of passengers. They put a lockdown. They asked that stopped what? The movement of passengers, of human beings, of people. But then those that adopted to do delivery services, they were able to continue running. So with them, much as you're doing a border business, it didn't stop there. That because they've told you that stop carrying passengers, that you're going to close, you're going to pack your border and stop business. But those that who were sharp enough, they looked for an alternative way how they can continue working. And they went into the delivery, in the delivery business. The delivery business. Remember at that time, the transportation or movement of goods continued. So people opted to do what? They opted to do deliveries, which helped them to continue working. Much as there will be a change in the income that maybe you've been earning, but at least you're not going to shut down your business. You're going to have something to do what? Something to continue doing. Then also you can identify, still under diversifying the revenue, you can identify, say if you're dealing in one product, identify another product that you think goes well or complements the other product that you're selling. For example, let's say you're in a salon business. If you're running a salon, a product that can complement or supplement to the salon are beauty products. If you're running a salon, how about you sell different beauty products? Let's say for the ladies, the makeup, you sell the things to do with other than makeup, you sell things to do with what to go with beauty, the colognes, the perfumes, mention it more than that. So that will also do what? That will add you for it. So that in case they say the salons are not, the times the salons are not running well, someone will come to buy another product from you. If you're running a shop, let's say you have a retail shop, you can put a mobile money service. Here, what I'm trying to say is you look for the product that goes well with the major product that you're selling. Don't rely on only one product. And for the farmers, say that you're grazing cattle. If you're grazing cattle, you're collecting the waste. What are you using the waste with, the cow waste with? Can you say, maybe let me go into making manure? You can say, let me go into making manure. Or since you can say, if I'm grazing and I have this waste that is coming, I can grow some crops and I use the manure onto the crops. So that whenever there is a shock in one of the products, let's say maybe there is something that has happened, maybe they no longer want movement of cows whenever there is a pandemic and they say that there's no more movement of cows, maybe there is a disease that has come off for the crops, the other product can keep you running with the business. So what I'm trying to say is try to diversify your revenue streams, diversify in the business. Don't just rely on one product, because we've seen this and I've discussed with you that at one point, one product may fail. But once you have more than one product that you're dealing in, the other product can keep your business running. Then the next would be to leverage technology. Believe it or not, the era that we are in, we are going digital. And when you search the first 5 richest men in the world, the first 4 people, they are in technology. The businesses that they are doing are in technology. The first, as of 2025, the first 5 richest people in the world, the 4 of them, the first 4 are in technology. The 5th one is in beauty, something to do with beauty. So that's why now I'm trying to let you know that technology is here to stay. Whenever you're running your business, when you start your business, look for a way how you can incorporate in technology. If you're running a restaurant, how can you still make sales even when you've not yet reached your restaurant? How can you let people make orders? Like, how can you let people who are not able to come to your restaurant, still you're able to serve them? That is why the different apps that were made, like for example, we have Grovo. I can be in outskirts of town where there is, for example, there is no Cafe Javas, but I will make an order and I will get the same product. I will make an order from Cafe Javas and I'll be able to get that product wherever I will be. So make it, whenever you're making your business, Plan it where even you shouldn't just be serving the person who walks into your business. Make it where you're able to serve even the people that are far away from where you're operating from. I want to talk about during still the shock that we faced and we are all familiar with. I will keep referring to the pandemic in 2020 that went through up to 2021. The restaurants that were running, remember, they closed every business, every shop that was running. People, they were not allowing us to physically visit those shops. But some shops, actually, what I saw some people do, they moved their stock into their houses. They move their, for example, those that are dealing in wherever that they are dealing, like businesses in downtown, they took all their stock to their homes. They made use of social media, started advertising with social media. And since they were allowing deliveries with borders and whatever other means, some people continued working. And those that were so conservative and rigid and they could not transform from waiting for customers to come in and go to sell online, they're the ones that didn't make any sale. Those are the ones after the pandemic, they had dead stock, businesses closed. But those that were liberal and accepted and said, allowed change to come in, they managed to do what? They managed to continue with their operation. So what I would want to encourage you is, the businesses are running, try to incorporate in the aspect of technology. Look at how there is AI that is now introduced. How can you use that to make sure that you're able to do what? To run your business. The people who are in graphic designs, AI has come. It has made it so easy and so cheap. You no longer have to pay for certain apps, those that are in graphic designs. You no longer have to pay. You can do all these things by yourself, even when you don't have much knowledge. So when you're doing your business, try to leverage on technology and see how you can operate with the help of technology. You will find that you're able to make more sales. You find that you'll be able to expand even beyond the borders. For example, before the COVID-19, most meetings were physical. It would be like whenever there would be like a meeting or a training, companies, offices, NGOs had to pay much money to move their employees or even the people they want to train from up country to come and attend physical trainings. But look, from that point, since they squared the use of Zoom, the use of Teams, it became so much common to everyone that actually we can hear or receive whatever, conduct meetings, get trainings, even us without meeting physically. All this was appreciated much during the time of the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic. So it is a shock that happened, but it opened our eyes that we managed to see we can do something else. We don't have to do things traditionally. So leverage on technology and try to make research more and more of how much we can do what, of how much you can make use of it to increase your profits. Here we are looking, the main target that we are doing this is to make sure that we've increased our sales. Because, for example, if you're saying that you can sell or make sales online, meaning you're not just relying on the people that are walking into your shop, but also those that are outside that are able to enjoy your product. Automate record keeping with simple apps. There are free apps that you can use for bookkeeping, for record keeping. I just want to believe that in this era, all of us, we are keeping records of our businesses. We know how to track our businesses. We know how much has come in, how much has gone out. You don't have to pay an arm and a leg anymore. There are simple apps that have come up. Just do research, get knowledge about them, and you can use them to track your business, and you will see what product is running well, what product is not doing well, and that is going to give you an idea or knowledge on what product to stock more than the other, because you will have the records very well. Then another thing is explore the e-commerce to reach more customers. Just like the I've said, because of this, we are able to sell ourselves beyond Uganda, because we can market our products online and we make them available where you can actually purchase them. Those with websites, we've seen people who put their products on websites. It's just a click on it and you're able to purchase. You make a payment without even interacting with someone, but you purchase the product and the product is sent to you. So I can say, as you're running your businesses, you have to shift from the traditional way of how we're doing things, of just saying, I'm going to have my shop, I'm just going to deal with the people that are just in the area, but also say you open the doors, you open yourself to the new technology that has come in. Because in most cases, the technology just helps in to cut on some costs. The technology is not to it's not to make the product expensive. It is actually to reduce on the operating costs. Then the other point is we have to adapt to the economic policy and the policy changes. Government decisions can make or break your business. So we need to stay updated and to be flexible. For example, the policies, the government can wake up and say, for example, the new policies that are being introduced, still on taxation. They introduced e-freeze. We saw what happened. Of recent, that was, I think, in early Feb, at the beginning of this month, they introduced a tax on real estate, 5% on any income that you make on real estate. Where does that put you? People who have been in real estate business, probably you've been not paying certain tax. Now a new tax has been introduced. How are you ready to adapt to that? What are you going to do? Remember, you bought these lands, you bought these houses without considering that. Now a new tax has been introduced. What are you going to do? We can talk about the policies like the economic liberalization, where the government opened free trade within the East African community. That worked for us, meaning that we can freely now trade in the neighboring countries that are under the East African community. How ready are you to expand to that market? If you've been just serving the local market, how ready are you since the government has given you that option, how well are you going to use it? Because remember, in this, you're trying to look to find an advantage, as in to make advantage or take advantage of any new policy that is introduced that is in your favor, so that you're able to compete with the existing business people in the market. They've introduced the Bubu by Uganda. It is sorry. Okay, the Bubu Buy Uganda, Build Uganda, they've introduced that. Where does that leave you? If you've been dealing in a product that is imported, how about you try to produce it locally here so that you're able to benefit from those So that you're able to benefit from those privileges. They've given the incentives for manufacturers. Actually, the tax for people, whenever you're going to start a business, you have to consider the tax implication on the product that you're going to be dealing with. For example, farming has less tax compared to when you're importing certain goods from outside. And also, if you're doing manufacturing, be it light manufacturing, be it improving building the products, you can either import certain products, but then you build the product in Uganda. You need to put in consideration dealing in such products so that you're able to benefit from the incentives that the government has put. And also they've also put free taxation in the industrialization areas, the market industrialized areas, the parks, for example, there are no taxes like levied on that. So I would like ask you to pay attention to the policy changes and equip yourself with the knowledge on whatever changes that happen, so that you make your product, or you're able to put yourself to deal in the product that receives those incentives or those privileges. Then the other is strengthening customer relationships. When we talk about strengthening customer relationships, we all know that it is cheaper to maintain a customer other than recruiting a new customer. So whenever you're dealing with customers, what's your relationship? And I would like you to ask yourself, within yourself, ask yourself, what relationship do you have with your customers? In our businesses, we all have old clients, customers, and also new customers. But for the customers that you've been with, probably from the time you started your business, what relationship do you have with them? Do you follow up whenever they buy from you, the goods they bought from you, how they are faring? Do you have a relationship of knowing, say, if you're selling to the end user or someone who's going to sell, how do you care to know those that you're selling to do a resale, how they are faring? Do you ask them of the challenges? Do you ask them of what you need, what you should improve? So those are some of the things you need to consider so that you're able to retain the old customers. Just like the way I've mentioned, for you to get a new customer, it is a cost. You have to advertise, you have to give samples, you have to use influencers so that you're able to win new clients. But if we focused on strengthening the old ones so that we're able to get referrals from them, because that's the beauty of when you're serving a client very well, they're able to give you or to bring you referrals, and you find you're able to get clients or clients without you putting in any cost because you've satisfied them. Normally, some businesses, if you're lucky and you get a customer who gives feedback, you should appreciate them, not you trying to defend yourself. If they've told you that, look, I purchased this from you and it didn't work as it said, can you look at how you can satisfy them? Can you put up can you give some rewards so that they're able to come back? Because a business can't operate without a customer. So I would request you, I would ask you that as you're running your business, it is a customer that keeps your door open. That's why there is this saying that a customer is a king. When a customer has come to you, respect them, try to serve them. Most people, they buy the experience. If you're to see in the places that you've visited and visited and visited, it's because of the experience that you get, or the experience that you get with a certain product. You buy a product the first time, it satisfies your need, you will continuously buying it. You will not change. But you buy it the first time and it doesn't give you the satisfaction. Trust me, you'll be able to shift and you're like, let me look for an alternative. So as you're selling, yes, you've started your business, you've gotten these clients, respect them and let them know them and serve them beyond their expectations. Then we talk about building strong cash reserves. When we talk about emergency fund, this is common on the individual basis, but also for the businesses are supposed to have an emergency fund. It's not only individuals that where we are told for your personal financial management that you're supposed to have an emergency fund. Should you lose an income, should you lose your job, that you're able to continue operating, but also in businesses. Because, for example, you're supposed to put aside, depending on the size of your business, you're supposed to save, you can make it even as low as 5 to 20% for that time whenever there is a shock, so that you're able to maybe change your business. You put aside that kind of money to be able to cater for the situation, for something happening. Maybe you've put out your truck has been burnt in South Sudan that had taken the goods. Are you able to load another truck and continue business? And looking back, for example, during, I'll keep referring to the latest the pandemic that happened. Some businesses, for example, they closed bars. They closed bars for almost 2 years without them operating. So imagine you were relying on just owning a bar and a nightclub. What would you do? But if you have put aside you have some money aside, you can buy some some foodstuffs, and you resell, like you're able to change a business there and then, depending on the trend that is happening. They've said that the nightclubs are not working, the bars are not working. What do? You can buy foodstuffs because they continued allowing us to the operations of shops, to retail shops and wholesale shops to continue operating. When they open them, then that is a point, and you're like, let me change my business. But you're not able to change a business if you've not prepared with a what? If you've not prepared with an emergency fund. So I would encourage you that much as you're reinvesting the money that you get, put aside a certain percentage to cater for those shocks when they've happened. Because you find whenever a shock happens, there is some businesses that are going to thrive, and there are some other businesses that are going to close. And whenever they close, they may never open again. Because imagine 2 years and you're closed. That is quite long. So you find you're not able to do what? To reopen again. But it is at that point that you're able to change from one business to another. So as you're running your businesses and you're reinvesting the profits that you've gotten in the business, put aside some emergency money that is going to help you during that time. Then the next is strengthening business networks and collaboration. I mean, why partnerships? I believe you would rather be a partner in a bigger business than you being a sole owner you'd rather be a partner in, say, $100 million business than you being a sole owner in, say, 500,000 business, like Uganda shilling business. So open yourself to partnership. You should be able to look at you join different circles or different programs so that you meet the people that you're working with in the same industry. For example, I will talk about farmers, like in the coffee industry. In most cases, it is hard to be able to collect the much tonnage of the coffee that is needed to be exported. That is why they always open up the cooperatives. You be part of those cooperatives so that instead of selling your coffee to the final user who is going to pay less, you'd rather belong to a cooperative where it is collected and exported, and once it's exported, you get more profits on selling in bulk, or opportunities selling abroad, or selling even into the larger markets. So I would encourage you that look at the business that you're operating in. Look at if you have an existing cooperative in that same business, in that businesses, and it is there. Because, for example, in transportation for the taxis, they have They have an association that brings them together, the borders, those that are the traders, those that are in consultants, those that are in farming, the farmers. There are always those cooperatives or associations that bring you together. And I would encourage you that you join them so that you're able to partner with them. And once you've partnered with them, they have a higher bargaining power. They can easily bargain or make things, influence the government to do some changes than if you're operating as an individual. So look at the business that you're operating in and the type of, or the sector that you're in, and you do what? Look for an association or a body that you should join, and you receive those benefits. Then also, whenever that the tragedy has happened, that crisis that has happened, we should learn how to cut costs. And when I talk about cutting costs, this also, it's not only in the individual basis, but also in the businesses. For example, you've been operating this big shop, and there is a financial crisis that has happened. Maybe you're not able to continuously pay the rent as you've been paying. How about you co-rent? You divide some space and you co-rent with someone else so that you're cutting the cost on the what? You're cutting the cost on the rent. so that you continue getting the profits, as in, so that the cost on the rent is not going to affect your what? It's not going to affect your profits that you're making. Keep your businesses running smoothly, sub-renting, cheaper suppliers. As you're running your businesses, don't tie yourself on one supplier. Go out in the field, look for certain suppliers. Try to see if you can get someone who is going to provide for you the same product with quality. And when I talk about cutting costs, I'm not saying that you compromise on the quality of the product, because you don't want to be a business person who is known for selling or putting out substandard goods. In everything that you do, never compromise on the quality. You can look at different ways how you cut on the costs, but don't look at don't compromise on the quality. Look for the suppliers, as in move out. Don't just tie yourself on one supplier. Then cut unnecessary costs every quarter after you've done reviews. Just like the way I've said that you should be keeping records. The use of keeping records at the end of every quarter, you're able to come out and review. Look at, this is my input and this is my output. This is how much I managed to sell this product. And you see whether you're making whether you're making a profit or making a loss. So review all your I would advise that you review all your records quarterly, monthly, depending on how your business is. So cut your costs, but don't compromise on quality. Look for different other areas, just like the I've mentioned. If it is staff, if you can get, you'd rather pay one experienced staff to do with different skills than you having to employ very many, each with a different skill. You can look at, sit around and see what works for your business, because different businesses have different areas that they can be able to cut and those that they cannot be able to cut. So study your business and look at how you can cut costs on that. Then also, I can't mention enough, investing in yourself. This is not only at the individual level. When we tell people to invest in themselves, it's not only at the individual level, but also at the business level. How often do you take your employees for refreshing courses? How often do you train them? How often do you remind them, to take them for those trainings so that they're able to equip themselves with knowledge? For example, especially the employees in the core departments of your businesses. If you're in production, the people that do the production. If you're in supplies, in selling, the people that do the negotiations. How often do you train them to equip them with the knowledge? So always equip yourself with, learn. Every day is for learning. There is a quote that I like most by Benjamin Franklin. It's an investment in knowledge pays the best interest. So whenever you're knowledgeable, trust me, if you have knowledge, you will be prepared at all times. First of all, you will look at the economic trends and you'll be able to foresee what may be coming. If you see that there was a crisis, the world crisis in 2008, if you have knowledge how it came about, and when you look at the trends, the political trends that are coming up, you'll be able to predict, you're like, because of what happened the other time, this is likely to happen. And you find yourself when you're ready, when you're prepared for that. So invest in yourself with knowledge. Know whatever that is happening, the political climate, the economic climate. I can't emphasize enough for everyone in business to have knowledge on taxation and to follow up, because you know that every there and then there are always changes on the taxation laws. Today they will introduce a new tax. Maybe first check it out if it is affecting your business directly. And in most cases, when these tax laws that are introduced, it may not affect you directly, but indirectly it's going to affect you. Because if it is a tax levied on transport, even if you're not into the transportation business, it's going to end up affecting you. Also, what I need to let you know still in this, the compliance. Make sure that if you're in business, you're compliant enough with the government laws. For example, are you paying your taxes on time? Are you paying NSF contributions for your staff? Very many other policies and very many other regulations. Do you have for those that are in production? Do you have the UNBS? Are you registered with the UNBS? Are you keeping the quality and the standards that they are asking of? Like, make sure that you're compliant. And in most cases, that when you're compliant, it opens doors for you. It opens doors for you to even bigger businesses. For example, if there is funding, whenever there is funding or grants to be given to businesses, they first look at the business, not even first, but they only consider the businesses that have been compliant, because they will ask you for the tax clearance certificate. Where would you get it if you've not been clearing your taxes? If there is a product and say they want supplies, and say you're in production of millet flour in foodstuffs, and you don't have certification from the UNBS, you'll not be able to bid for that business. Then you'll be missing out on the sales. So in everything, in the businesses that you're running, consider, as in, make compliance number one. Study your business. Look at the regulations that are needed for you to be compliant, so that whenever these opportunities come, you shouldn't miss out. Yes, you've had your business registered, you've been operating, but imagine you can't bid, or you can't receive a grant, or you can't receive a financing because you're not compliant, because you don't have the requirements that are needed of you. So I would want to encourage you, like, to ask you back as you go back to your businesses, even through now that you're receiving this training, ask yourself where you are when it comes to compliance. Ask yourself, are you doing the things right? Then mentorship. You should look at every business. You should be able to look at, if you're a small business, if you're a medium business, there is a bigger business doing the same thing that you're doing. Look at how they managed to reach where they've reached. If you have an opportunity to meet the business owners and they take you through that, you can request for those appointments if you have a chance. Or if not, you can look for financial advisors. For example, at Financial Diet, we do structuring of businesses. In case you're faced with any challenge or something that you don't understand, we are here at your service. We are able to do what? We are able to restructure and structure where your business, advise you where you're doing wrong, and try and show you what you're supposed to do right, so that you're ready and prepared for anything that might come for your business. Knowledge is power for business survival. So we need to continue seeking knowledge. And when you're seeking this knowledge, it gives you a chance also to make what? Research and new innovations. Just before I conclude, I just want to give a small story. When I was growing up, in the 2000s, there was certain cakes. There was a lady in our area where I was living selling cake. The cake that she was baking was more of like bread cake. And that was before different flavors were introduced. There were these cakes that were sold in schools, squared, yellow in color, most of them. And I mean, that's the product that was there at that time. And that lady was the biggest in our area when it came to do what? When it came to on weddings, on parties, she was the main supplier of cake in every function in schools. But she was so conservative that even when the new trends, the new flavors that were coming, the other flavors like the fudge cakes, the new flavors that came, for her, she remained knowing that I will continue doing this because this is what has been consumed. Times and times and times, people came into the business, started making different flavors, which people appreciated, and put her out of business. So it is because she refused to adapt to change. She refused to make research and see what else can she do other than the knowledge that she had. So as you study, or as you equip yourself with knowledge, you're making research on how you can improve the product that you're giving, so that you're able to satisfy your customers. Don't be rigid, because what is consumed today will be a different taste for the next generation or for the other people once they taste the different flavors. So invest in yourself, have knowledge on how to run your business, have knowledge about your product and on how you can improve it. Don't say that me, I'm making this cloth. For example, the people that are in the fashion industry, you can't say that I'm going to keep bringing the same fashion or style all the time. You have to equip yourself with knowledge to know what is trending. So you need to invest you need to do what? You need to equip yourself with that knowledge. So as I conclude, you have to building a resilient business is like, it is a reality. Business uncertainty is a reality, but financial resilience is a choice. We shall have these uncertainties, but how you get out of that uncertainty is your choice on what you decide to do. In our Ugandan business, the businesses that thrive are those that adapt to innovation and prepare for the unexpected. If you're there and rigid and conservative without having an open mind, trust me, when there is a financial shock or a crisis, you'll not be able to get out of it. So as I finish or as I conclude, I want to leave you with a question. What step are you taking today to protect your business or yourself? Here, don't just look at even just as a business, but as yourself as well, you as an individual. Whenever you're faced with these challenges, what steps are you going to take from now? How well will you be prepared so that whenever there is that shock or whenever there is that crisis, you're able to get out of it and actually grow? Just like the way I mentioned at the beginning, we saw businesses expand, open new branches during the pandemic, because with them they identified a problem and they found a solution and they were able to thrive in that. Success is not final, failure is not fatal, it is the courage to continue that counts. Thank you so much for listening.
Great. Thank you so much, Patricia, Miss Patricia Asasira. I would like to thank you so much for visiting us today. We always meet here on Thursdays at 9 to discuss business. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge on a topic that is quite vital for today and this season particularly. And we appreciate all the information you've shared. We have so many comments in the chat appreciating the learning opportunity that we have with Enterprise Uganda. And we have another 30 minutes to ask questions and to discuss a few things that may come up from your presentation. I want to remind you that the reason we actually have the Business Recovery Series, this was a platform that was born out of the COVID-19 pandemic business uncertainty situation. And the reason why the Business Recovery Series was set up is to support businesses to go through uncertain times. Okay. Now, we went through the COVID pandemic, and I want to confirm that we did not come out the same. But look where we are now, for how many years later? Almost 5 years later. What does that tell us about life and business in general? Change always happens. And like Ms. Asasira has said, there's so many external factors that are going to affect our businesses. Some are political, some are policy, some are geopolitical, as in stuff that is happening in other countries. And just like the COVID-19 pandemic revealed to us, we are all interconnected. We are like a pack of cards. Have you played playing cards before? Once the pack falls, everybody falls because the effects affect everyone. So right now, I'd like to sympathize with all our colleagues and friends who have been affected by the U.S. executive orders, especially on the not the ban, I don't want to call it a ban. I'm sure that the fund will come back, but it will be maybe in a different state. But right now we have a disruption in PEPFAR funding, and it has affected a number of organizations, jobs, and families. So we want to sympathize with you right now, and we want to say that we are going to go through this situation together. We just need to pick up something and run with it. And it also teaches us that we need to make hay while the sun shines. And like our presenter said last week, we all need to have more than one income stream. And Patricia has also mentioned it. You can't survive on one income. Your job is not enough. Let's find something else that we can do to give us a bit of insurance in case the jobs that we have face some difficulty or some interruptions. So this is a great moment for us. Let's have some questions for Patricia. She's here for another 28 minutes. You can put up your hand. Those who want to access the recording is going to be on the Enterprise Uganda YouTube channel. And I've also been told that it can be shared on your emails. I would also like to announce that the entrepreneurship training workshop is on. The link will be shared shortly. Please do register for the entrepreneurship training, because once you start that business, you want to make sure that you do it right. If you'd also want to have a business health check from Enterprise Uganda, it's a free opportunity for you to talk to somebody about your business. We find out how your operations are doing, your finances, how your staff, customer relations, and marketing are doing, and give you advice that you can work with throughout the year to make sure that your business thrives. Don't do business alone. Enterprise Uganda is here to support you. So yes, register for the entrepreneurship training workshop. The links are in the chat right now, and also register for the business health checks. So yes, we are taking questions for Patricia. And Patricia, I would like to, you talked about diversifying income, our income streams. I would like you to advise someone who has a 9-to-5 job on how they can create multiple sources of income to make sure that if the job ends, they are not stuck. Patricia?
Thank you, Belinda. So for someone who has a 9-to-5 job, meaning that full time you are at work. First of all, to start with, I would like to, I can advise that you invest in a skill in that area. For example, if you're an accountant at your job, you're giving accounting services. Can you equip yourself more knowledge so that you're able to, say, consult with someone or with a business over the weekend to give the accounting accounting services. First of all, is to begin with equipping yourself with the skills to have the skill set that is good enough that you're able to offer it to beyond or outside your businesses. Also, another thing is to do an online business. Online business, you can run it even when you're at what? Even when you're at your job. You market everything. So here you're doing away with having to have workers in your shop. Say maybe you wanted to do a boutique, this is a common thing that most people do. You start a boutique, you put someone to work in there, you're never there. And of course, what will they do? They will take everything, they will sell and bring back the things, and they will show you that they've not made any sale. But what I would advise on this in doing is that you can do an online business where the orders come directly to you, and then you arrange on delivering. So you invest in those businesses that require less management. For example, you can invest in real estate if you can. And when I talk about real estate, I'm not talking about very expensive. As in, when I talk about real estate, it's not that I'm telling you to buy land of, say, 100 million, 50 million. You can still be in real estate of doing, say, Airbnb business. that is also under real estate, and you can operate that fully on by yourself online. You can, if you have some money, you can do buying some land and you sell for more, buy for more, and all that. You can invest in T-bills and bonds. So there you're investing so that you continuously get some more money, so that you consider getting some more money in alongside your income. So what I would advise in a nutshell, someone who has a job 9 to 5 and you're not able to supervise it during the day, run an online business. Invest in businesses that require less management. I've given an example of real estate, given an example of real estate, investing in stocks, bills, and bonds, investing in other areas like Airbnb that will not require you to be physically there all the time. Also, is to work on your skill set. Work on your skill set so that other than you being at that job, you're able to give it out whenever, like on a weekend. Pick up a skill that can still earn you some money. We've seen people who do emceeing, who do moderations for on panelists and all that. Like, develop yourself, work on yourself, have that skill that can still get you some money, that even when you're laid off, you can still once in a while get a gig to do, so that at least it can keep you afloat.
Okay, great. And I think when you finally set up that side gig, I don't like the word hustle. It is a business because it has inputs and output, it has expenses, it has
Belinda, have I lost you? Please, can we comment if we are able to hear? If you're hearing me, kindly comment in the comment section.
Oh, apologies for the breakup. We had yes, can you hear me now? We had a bit of a technical glitch. I was saying that it's advisable that the income that you get from the side business is set aside for your emergency fund, and that way you honestly have a cushion. My second question to Patricia is, yes, when you have a disruption in your business or the circumstances that bring money to your business, when the money stops coming in like it was before, you have to cut your expenses. Patricia, talk to us about cutting our expenses, our housing, our food, our entertainment, especially when we are going through a time when our income is a bit unstable. Talk to us about that. Hello, Patricia.
Yes, thank you for the great question. First of all, for you to cut expenses, you must know what your expenses are. So here I'm going to talk assuming that you know what your expenses are, how much you spend on each. what those expenses, once if you've been writing them down, what are those expenses that you can do and those that you cannot do without. For example, when at an individual level, if you've been recording your expenses, you will see that when it comes to entertainment, the first thing, like when you're tracking your expenses, you realize that the first thing to do is to cut out things like entertainment, because you can't go to food when you still have entertainment on your on your list of expenses. So you first write down your expenses and you look at them, those that you can do and those that you cannot do. You look at your lifestyle that you're living. That is on an individual level. You look at the lifestyle. How are you living your life? Are you a person who eats out all the time? Are you a person who eats out all the time? Are you a person who spends on friends? Or are you a person who doesn't have a budget to start with? Do you even have a budget? Do you know how much you're earning? Do you know how much you're putting out? So to start with is I will encourage you to do a budget. Look at the income that you're earning and draw a budget to make sure that it fits into that income. Then, still on an individual level, look at how you can cut out. Look at the things that you can do without. As an individual, I will tell you, eating out, you cut out. Entertainment, you cut out. The brag tax, reduce and give out only that you must do. If you say school fees for the kids, sit them down and ask and tell them this is what I can afford. Maybe if it means changing schools for the kids, you change schools for the kids. The way you've been operating your life, like you have to change your lifestyle. If you've been driving every day, can you cut down the number of times you've been driving to work or anything? Then when it comes to business, you look at cutting operational costs. The biggest cost in business is overhead. For some, other than the production, those that are in production, in most cases, you find that it is the overhead. So I mentioned earlier during my presentation, I looked at having very many, you have to now to cut on the number of employees that you have. You look out having an employee who has several skills that can do many more tasks than you having very many that you have to pay for every for every head to give them to pay them the salary. So when you're reducing the operational costs, you start with the overhead. Look at all the stuff that you have. Are all those necessary? And after you've found out that, you look at those that you have to maintain and you also let go of those that have to go, because you can't keep paying them when you're not making the profit. Then another thing, when you're running the business, is at the different branches that you have. If you have different branches, let's say that you had expanded and you have very many branches that you're running, meaning you have the rent, you have those other costs, the rent, lighting, water, and all those costs that come with that. So you look at cutting down, closing some of the branches. We've seen this with commercial banks. And commercial banks, these are big businesses, but at some point, they've had to let some branches close and then improvise on how they will continuously serve those clients. So when you're cutting the costs in business, say that you had more than one branch, you'll be forced to close, especially those that are not doing so well. You close those branches, but don't lose those customers. You've been having your customers, you look for another way, alternative way, how you can continuously do what? How you can continuously serve them. So that is where you bring in the aspect of delivery, so that at the times when those clients are not able to walk directly into your shop, you tell them that, you communicate to them. And again, this is where I was talking about keeping records. When you have records, you will know who your clients are. And you will know wherever there is a change, you communicate to them. Alert them that we are closing this branch. However, we shall continuously serve you. This is how we shall continuously serve you. Like, you tell them the different operating business where it is located, and then tell them that you can do what? You can do delivery, and make sure that once you promise to do the delivery, let them get the same product as if they had walked into the what? Into your business. Then another thing is you renegotiate contracts and the payment terms. For example, let's say there is that shock, the financial crisis that happened, and during the COVID-19, some businesses renegotiated with their landlords. That happened with certain buildings downtown. You tell them you renegotiate, say maybe for the time you've not been working, if they can, they may meet you halfway. It's not a must for them to accept, but there is no harm in giving it a try. You ask if they can waive off the what? The rent before. Or for example, even the banks, the interest rate. People we saw some banks, they did write off the debt, but they renegotiated the payment terms. That is not going to put a lot of pressure on you. So here is you renegotiate. You look at what you look at the different clients or the different suppliers or stakeholders that you've been working with that help you to run the business, and tell them, and that is the relationship, as in to look at the relationship you had with them before. That is why they said to never burn bridges, to always be in good terms and in good books with the people that we do business with. So if you are before the crisis hit, if you're paying your rent fully on time and this crisis happens, trust me, they will understand where you're coming from. But if you are the person who was not even paying before and then the crisis hits, you will not get a chance to go and negotiate. So what I would encourage you is, whenever there is that crisis, one of the ways to reduce on the operational costs is you renegotiate. You cut out on the overhead, that those costs that may not be necessary. But still, what I want to encourage you is you're not compromising on the delivery. Whatever that you're doing, whatever choice that you come up with, is you're not considering you're not compromising on the delivery. Then we also talked about the partnership. If you can't do it alone, if you can't stay in business alone, how about you also partner with another business doing the same, so that you combine the capital and the skill set and everything together, so that actually is going to give you room to expand, as in you tap into the other one's market and the other one taps into your market, and you continue serving so that your business keeps running. So those are some of the ways how, when the crisis has the crisis has hit, you do what? You be able to thrive and still continue operation. Then another thing is also to focus on the first time moving.
Did we lose her? Hello, Patricia?
For example, if you are a person, yes, can you hear me?
Now we can hear you.
Oh, sorry. Could you let me know at what point you lost me?
There's
so that
another point you were
repeat
giving
myself?
us before you concluded.
Oh, okay. It was it on focusing on fast moving items?
Yes,
Was that
exactly.
the point?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Okay. So focusing on the fast moving items and reducing the slow moving stock. So this happens in a place where, or in the businesses, say, where you're dealing in variety of commodities. But and just like what I mentioned, one of the importances of record keeping, you're able to track the fast moving items. So if you have that in place, you will know the items to stock, and then you leave out those other items that weren't moving, much as they were bringing you in some money, they were making some sales and bringing in some profits. But at this point, you make it where you're not able to do what? You make it that you only get in those goods that sell easily, so that you're able to have your cash and continue to make the business to continue running. You're able to sell, restock, other than you having dead stock. So the different ways how you can survive in that scenario is to go back to your records, find out the stock that you're going to continuously deal in, cutting on the operational costs. Still, this is studying your business. You know how much that you need to, those areas that you need to do what? That you need to the areas that you need to cut on. And just like that, I mentioned what the businesses, most businesses, other than rent, other than the production, the other biggest cost is overhead. That is why I emphasized that you do more of less employees, but who are skilled, even if it means to do what, even if it means paying premium for them, it will not be the same as having very many employees in different branches. That comes at a cost of rent, water, and all that. So you make sure that you cut on the labor, but putting in mind that you're looking at the skill set that they are offering, other than the many of them being there. And also doing what, like, as in just like the way I've said, we talked about also diversification, having the different products that you're selling. So those are some of the ways that you can thrive, the business that you can still thrive even in that crisis. Then to summarize on the side of the individual, it is stick to the needs and not wants. Whenever there is a crisis, for the luxuries that you've been having, you're going to cut them out, and then you stick to only the necessities, not the ones that, yes, you may want this, you may want a good perfume, you may want to drive this luxurious car. No, whenever there is a crisis, you cut all that and you just focus on the what? You just focus on necessities, so that it can help you to keep up front when it comes to your finances.
Thank you.
Just like I can say still is look at your personal financial management, study, like as in look at your lifestyle, study your lifestyle. In most cases for the individuals, it starts with changing your lifestyle. That is what I can emphasize on.
Okay. Thank you, Patricia. As I listen to you make this very important submission, one thing stands out. If there is any change in the external factors that affect our businesses, we also have to change. We cannot do business as normal, as usual rather. And now, many times we are afraid of change. But see, this stuff happens without us asking for it. So as business owners, as people doing life here on earth, one thing that we have to get used to is change. The other thing I hear you saying about employees is having multiple skills, because you still don't know when the business hiccup is going to happen and your employer says, I need the admin person to do finance and to also do HR. Are you able to handle all those things at once? That means as you are doing your job, focus on upgrading your skills so that you can have multiple functions that you deliver for your employer. When we talk about change, as we are making our changes in the organization, like you said, it's important for us to communicate with our clients. The clients need to know what is happening, especially if you've made major changes in your operations. And now it is surprising that when we are hit with a business hiccup, we have no option but to innovate. Innovation is critical in spite of the very difficult situation that business is in. Even you deciding that one employee is going to do 3 tasks is innovation. So you embrace it and keep on in the spirit of innovation to make sure that you don't bleed the business. You give it what it needs so that it can be able to survive. Now, Patricia, as we close, we have about 5 minutes. We are talking about all these things. One, happening to the entrepreneur. One, they are having a hit on their business. 2, they are making changes at the workplace. 3, I'm sure that taxation policy is affecting them. 4, they have to put their kids out of school, not out of school, maybe change schools. There are so many changes that are happening to this individual. I want you to talk to us about how to take care of our mental health as we finish in about 3 minutes, how to take care of our mental health as we go through these times of business uncertainty. Patricia?
Okay, thank you for the question. Now, when it comes to how to take care of our mental health going through this, I would recommend counseling. talk it out to the trusted people so that you're able to get counseling, the right counseling from the professionals, from the right people. Because when you're worried with all those by yourself, you may not understand. It can affect the business. Even the little that you have, you lose it because of the thoughts and all that. So whenever you're going through a situation, is to talk it out. To talk it out, and I would advise that you look for a qualified person in the area that you want to, in the area that is affecting, like for you to talk to them. I would recommend counseling. And also you can also manage stress by setting boundaries at work and businesses. You set boundaries at your workplace, you know what line not to be crossed. And also in businesses, much as with your customers, you set boundaries. You say, if I'm, for example, like on the credit policy, you know at how much or for how long you're able to give credit. So I can say in this is you're able to manage stress and set boundaries. Exercise is very important. I know exercising may be cliche, but it is important. As in, in this is you're looking out for yourself first.
Yes, you, of course, what you said is not important, is actually the most important thing, because you need mental clarity. The doctors will tell you, you will need mental clarity to be able, one, to fall asleep, so your body can rest and you have energy for the next day, and also so that you can have a good mood as you go through work. And of course, in addition to the exercise, we need to have our meals so that we don't get ailments like ulcers, but then also be part of a community. We are always here on Thursday. You can reach out to colleagues here in the community and share what you are going through, or make a phone call and ask to speak to someone. Do not do business alone, because the challenges that affect one business in Uganda will affect another one as well. So your mental health is very important, and it is you to take care of it, not another person to do it for you. So we have come. Thank you so much, Patricia. Give us a parting shot in 30 seconds. Yes.
Okay, I want to say practice gratitude. Even when things are not going well, practice gratitude. Be thankful to the Almighty for the little things that you're doing. For the good things that the good Lord has given. Practice gratitude in each and everything. Work on your mindset even when things aren't going well, because it starts with you. If you're not doing well and you're left like in worrying situation, even your business is going to be in a worrying situation. So that's all I can say is practice gratitude and work on your mindset.
Thank you so much, Patricia Asasira. You have given us a rich financial diet this Thursday morning. Thank you for sharing your information and for visiting us here at Enterprise Uganda. For the people who are putting up your hands, sorry, you've come to the end of the business recovery series for today. The presentation will be shared on our YouTube channel, which is Enterprise Uganda. Don't miss registration for the Entrepreneurship Training Week, and also register your business for the business health check so that we can come and talk to you about your business. Do not do business alone, especially in 2025. So it's 10:30. My name is Belinda Namtebi. I want to thank you so much for joining us today. We have had an amazing session on how to go through financial uncertainty, especially with our businesses, in connection to what is happening around us. It is a great build up to the conversation we had last week. And I hope that as the weeks go by, you'll be able to weave all these nuggets that we are sharing, so that when we come to the end of the year, your business has benefited. Thank you so much for joining us and for inviting your friends. We'll be here again next Thursday with another interesting topic for your businesses. Until then, stay strong. Do not give up. Take care of your mental health. Do the innovation, talk to your staff, talk to your colleagues, and make sure that you navigate this business journey successfully. Until next Thursday, have a great day. Bye from Enterprise Uganda.